prospects of a deal finally being reached. We're joined by Kaveh Afrasiabi from Massachusetts. He's a former advisor to Iran's nuclear negotiating team. He's also co-author of a book on Iranian nuclear negotiations. Kaveh, welcome.
Thank you, Asieh.
So let me put you right on the spot. Will we have some kind of announcement tomorrow that a deal has been reached?
Well, I would say 80 to 90% chance that we will have a deal tomorrow. You know, as you said, there are some sticking points that the parties are trying feverishly to resolve, and the BRICS foreign ministers have to leave after tomorrow. So I think the bets are on the positive side, and I'm optimistic that we will have a big announcement tomorrow.
So some of the remaining issues, inspections, verification, research and development, sanctions relief, the scope and speed of how that is done, have they managed to narrow any of these differences?
Yeah, well, a lot of these issues have been narrowed down. You know, they haven't been completely resolved. So we are at the last leg of basically resolving them. And, you know, this is a very complex agreement that is going to be some 80, 85 pages long, and a lot of technical annexes. So, you know, in addition to the main negotiators, you also have the technical experts trying to hammer out the differences. And as I said, I'm optimistic that they will achieve a last-minute breakthrough. And we saw that at the Geneva Agreement in 2013 as well. There was an impasse that with an American initiative at the last minute, it was resolved, and we had that interim agreement. So hopefully history will repeat itself.
Kaveh, from the Iranian perspective, what is the biggest issue on the table? What do they want? And from the American perspective, what is important to them here?
Well, these are two very big loaded questions. On the Iranian side, they want a just and balanced agreement that would have an equitable quid pro quo. The Iranians want the sanctions lifted. They want the national security preserved so that what is referred to as the possible military dimension issues will not tamper on the sensitive national security issues, and that is one of the sticking points. Fortunately, we had a very successful meeting between the head of the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, and the Iranian leadership in Tehran last week that accelerated the possibility of a breakthrough by tomorrow. And on the American side, of course, we have heard repeatedly that they want all the various venues for potential proliferation to be blocked. And one of them pertains to this thorny issue of possible military dimension, which pertains to a decade or so in the past. And as U.S. Secretary of State Kerry said, you know, the emphasis should be forward-looking on the future, not so much on the past. And hopefully, if the Americans can remain consistent on that and focus on a forward-looking comprehensive agreement, then we will have a deal.
And of course, the Americans have said if it's not a good deal, they are prepared to walk away. And if they do that, if there's no deal, at least by tomorrow, will the negotiations simply continue for several more days?
Yes, the most likely possibility is that they would simply extend the deadline since there are these issues that need to be resolved. And I think what the Secretary of State Kerry said the other day was mainly for domestic consumption, because he has to come back to Washington and say it to a tough audience in the U.S. Congress. And the Iranians as well, because the Iranian parliament has mandated you know, a national review of this final deal. So, you know, we're going to have a protracted political process that will follow this final deal. And hopefully, if it's a good balanced deal, it will be passed by both sides and turn into an international agreement that will put to rest the proliferation concerns and will be a boon for regional and international peace and security.
All right, Kaveh Afrasiabi, sir, thank you so much.
My pleasure.